So today I'm going to talk about synchronous and asynchronous. The first thing I'm going to be talking about is synchronous, which is super important and something that we're going to be doing quite a bit this year. I want to go over the positives, the negatives, expectations from the district, just everything you need to know about that. So just to start off, we'll go through what the definition is. That just simply means that students are engaged at the same time and the same place. They can access content, resources, activities at a specific time and location. They have control over the pace, but they do not have control over the time and the place. And they can access teacher and peer support while completing assignments. So some of the positives about synchronous learning is that the students can interact with the class, which makes group activities possible. They receive instant feedback. They can share their ideas and opinions with classmates. And then if they're struggling, they can immediately get help from their classmates and their teacher. Expectations. With the district, we expect you to have 5-10 minutes just to check in, greet the students, allow them to comment and talk with each other as everyone is getting on. Do a just slight movement or mindful movement to check and see how their social emotional learning is. Review their expectations and their norms. The main part is the direct instruction and the practice and application, and we'll go over that a little bit more and then give a little bit of a wrap up and goodbye. So we do have some minutes there. It may change depending on how long your sessions are, but that's something that we're really hoping that everyone will do. Our platform is Zoom. If you are unfamiliar with Zoom, there are sessions and lessons on how to use it in Alludo. Our background, make sure that your background is not distracting. It would be fantastic if you were able to take a picture of your classroom and have that as a background, as a virtual kind of background, or have something where the students aren't going to get distracted by someone walking by or dogs barking or anything like that. And then make sure that you're not in pajamas, that you're in some kind of professional attire so that students know that it's time to learn. So I'm just going to go through some different activities, providing examples on how to do synchronous learning. So the first thing you can do is you can build those community relationships, interactive modeling, so you can model what the students need to do next when they go back to their asynchronous, personalized instruction, provide real-time feedback, collaboration amongst students, and allow differentiated instruction if you're doing small groups. So I'm going to go through a couple of those. Direct instruction. Let the asynchronous work do the heavy lifting, and I'll talk about what that means down in the asynchronous section. Make sure it's student focused, it has real-world connections, and that it's small micro lessons. While this is super important, we don't want it to take the place of the entire 60 minutes, 40 minutes, depending on how long your sessions are. If you do that, then oftentimes it will tend to underwhelm the students. They'll have too much information they need to grasp, and then it makes the asynchronous work a little bit more difficult. Providing time to practice and apply the information that you gave them is really, really beneficial. This could be group work where the students are working together on a project. They're practicing equations if they're in math or science. They're doing discussion, or you're providing feedback on whatever work they completed in asynchronous. So routines, you can do a mixture of small group, whole group, individual sessions within an asynchronous lesson. I will show an example of what that would look like over the week. Some of the benefits of doing whole group sessions is you can connect learners online, you can build community, introduce concepts, and you can provide an overview of the work of the week. So it's really a great way to create a full class kind of idea. When you're moving into those small group sessions, that's providing that differentiated instruction, providing the instruction they might need in order to be successful when they're working on their own. Practice and application with frequent check-ins, small group discussions, and you're able to collect those formative assessments very easily when you have a smaller group in there. And then with individual sessions, that personalizes instruction even more. You can really do one-on-one practice and application, real real-time feedback with students. You can conference about their student progress, and you can conduct virtual side-by-side assessment. So those are some of the positives of doing whole group, small group, and individual. An example of what this would look like is here. So they have Wednesday as a non-student day. That could be our Monday. And the first day is just a welcome. They spend 20, 30 minutes talking about that, going over the weeks, talking about some of the work they might have submitted, introducing the new concept for the week, and then leave those time for questions. And then the second half is they're working asynchronously on the work that you're providing them. On Tuesday, Thursday, that would be our Wednesday, Thursday at small group time. So you're meeting whole group to begin with, just to welcome them, review the lesson, remind them that they need to meet. And then you can either do breakout rooms, or you can have the students mute their mic or their device, and then go do their asynchronous work while you're individually meeting with each of those small groups. And they have 3 groups, but that could be split into 4. And then gives yourself some time to transition. When you're getting to Friday, that's another whole group, and that's reviewing what they learned that week, making sure that there's some kind of activity to complete what they've learned and go over the information that they have submitted for their asynchronous work for the week. And then that non-student day is really spent going through designing your lessons, recording, and then giving feedback to those students. So that's that independent learning kind of task. So that's when you can use office hours to meet with those students that might be struggling. So an example of this could be a virtual station rotation, where they're going through when they're doing these small group activities, and they have a teacher-led station, online stations, or offline stations. And this right here is just a template that you can use in order to create that virtual station. And this is a link, so when you get the slides, you'll be able to go through and look at that. And finally, student discussion is extremely important. The ability to have students talk amongst each other is going to be especially important, since they're going to be essentially stuck at home for another 8 or 9 weeks. So choose topics that force students to take a side. That way, they're not able to just go, oh yeah, I agree. Give them time to research and show how to back up their thoughts. So this is a great opportunity to really teach our students how to do a discussion from their home when they're online. It's something that our students are probably already doing, especially our older students. So giving them the tools that they can do it successfully this is a great thing to do. And then also take time, if you're doing discussion through asynchronous, make sure you're also going through and covering what they have been talking about in their asynchronous time. I've also provided some different strategies. My favorite one here is providing the students with the agenda and the list of discussion questions ahead of time. That simply provides them the opportunity to really go back and look at it again without needing to go in and be surprised by the discussion question and then have to quickly think of a thought. They can think it over, think why they would like it, and then go from there. Also giving them the opportunity to use the chat can also be beneficial, because those students that might be too shy to speak out, they might be willing to type it up. So that is student discussion. I do want to go over some of the drawbacks. I'm not saying that this is simply, it's bad to do it. It's just something that we need to be aware of so that we can make sure it doesn't happen, especially as we are learning how to run synchronous lessons with students. So the first thing is that it isn't flexible for students. And there will be situations where the internet goes out, where a younger sibling has a problem and their older siblings have to take care of it. The parents aren't around. And so making sure to record your sessions and make them available on the learning management system, whether you have Google Classroom or Seesaw, will be really beneficial. You can make it where only the person that has a link can view it. They cannot share it. Or you can have it where only someone with a Walloop email has access to it, to make sure that it's private and not being shared out to other people. Another thing to be thinking about is the fact that that learners can be lost in that. When you're doing a session like this, you have a little box at the top that might be your picture, and if you have 30 students, and you're bringing it down, you still are only able to see 4 or 5 of those students. So it could be a chance that the students might get lost and lose where they're supposed to be finding. They might be too shy to ask questions. And so making sure to include check-ins throughout the session and offer opportunities for Q&A and office hours can help. This is especially true when we're doing, when you're presenting new information. Make sure that that information is small and bite-sized so that they aren't going to get too lost with that information. And then the heavy lifting is more on the students than the teacher. That simply means that it's up to them to ask those questions. We're not going to be in front of the class where we can specifically see exactly what students might be struggling as we're explaining new concepts. So making sure that they have lots of resources to check, that they have tips on how to keep track of the information that they're learning, and how to make sure that their synchronous and asynchronous lessons are easy to follow. So those are some different things about synchronous learning. If you have questions, your administrators will be there to help you out with this.